Hey yo, what is up everyone? It is the Alpha J of the Alpha J Show, and you guys voted, so let's talk about Phineas and Ferb. Just to let you guys know, as soon as these community voted reviews go up, the next poll will be in the community tab. So make sure to cast your vote and let's get on with the review. So I picked Rollercoasters just to continue this completionist run that I have called Did This Start Off Well, a series that's been doing generally okay on my channel.
I for one am starting to get bored, and boredom is something up with which I will not put. The first thing they're gonna ask us when we get back to school is what do we do over summer? I mean, no school for 3 months. Our life should be a roller coaster. Why, if I built a roller coaster, I would... That's it! I know what we're gonna do today!
So I think we should just talk about the elephant in the room. Phineas and Ferb has been called out to be a show that has a lot of repetition in it. It has a structure and many episodes can be boiled down to so. However, I think it's a little misleading just to say that the show is cookie cutter or repetitive and just leave it at there. It's kind of like saying, why does anyone have ice cream? It's cold and if you don't eat it fast, it's gonna melt and get everywhere. Or, why does anyone who knows that pro wrestling is fake still watch it? Because that implies that people do things solely for their flaws. That's not true, and neither is that here. People don't watch Phineas and Ferb because it's formulaic. People watch Phineas and Ferb because with its formula, it has produced catchy songs, interesting variations of its set structure, and fun characters that have grown as the show went on. I wouldn't call it a crutch, but if it really bothered you, I wouldn't complain. So as they say, they're building a roller coaster, and we meet Candace, who wants to know if she's in charge to a mom who never notices why her daughter is high-strung. Or does she?
What if a satellite falls out of orbit and crashes into the house?
If that happens, you're in charge.
Mom says I'm in charge conditionally.
Whatever.
Wait a minute, what are you doing?
Homework.
You know, from what I remember, Phineas wasn't this moody. He does appear to be a lot more moody in this episode, in the beginning, and I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just me. I know the voice is different, and so is the character. I don't recall Phineas being so secretive about what he's doing, and calling it homework. Sure, you could make the claim that maybe this has something to do with the fact that earlier, Phineas was talking about when he goes back to school, people are going to ask what he did over the summer, but I'm not sure if that's homework. His character really made a sharp change over time. Also, just to get this out of the way, we get more Candace segments, including a somewhat reason why she does this, because they never get caught, and she ends up finding out about the roller coaster and rushes over to their mother. So we meet Isabella, who despite knowing about Phineas building the roller coaster, asks him to go to the pool. Phineas ain't got time for that. We also get our very first Perry segment, because Dr. Doofenshmirtz ends up buying a lot of tinfoil. That must mean evil? But I do get it. To those who don't watch this show, or don't like this show, it could feel that this structure was used in a way to just pump out a lot of episodes very easily. In an artistic sense, you could say that they forged their own subgenre, but that still wouldn't change the fact that you may find it stale. I mean, this was one of the biggest shows for a while, and as a first show, you can really see how they went from their humble beginnings to, well, one of the most beloved shows in a lot of people's hearts. There's a lot of little details missing from what you may be used to in a Phineas and Ferb show. The lack of moving parts in the background, the lack of the female singer who sings Perry, and really many kinks in the whole Perry Dr. Doofenshmirtz battle. Do you want to know why he bought that tinfoil? Well, he covers it all around the city because he plans the reverse direction of the rotation on, why? Well, you may want an answer to that question, but this episode does not answer it.
You may well ask yourself, why would he do this? What could he possibly have to gain? Well, let me just answer that by saying I haven't really worked out all the bugs yet. I mean, you know, the tinfoil alone cost a lot.
Yes, they clearly do improve later.
Phineas and Ferb present the coolest coaster ever, now open?
You think we get a discount if we bring the flyer?
Maybe we better take it.
Here, look, see? I told you!
And you're not crazy because... I see your point, Candace. No crazy person would scream at a post like that. I'll be in the dairy section if you want to come yell at some cheese or anything.
This episode is funny, however. Some people may not like the annoying nature of Candace, and how she's always trying to bust her brothers all the time. Some people may really not like the fact that the mother is always oblivious. I disagree for the most part. From the episodes I've watched, it doesn't give me a Pal Figari point where we have Linda staring point blank at what the boys are doing, and stating that she has no idea what's going on or that she doesn't see anything wrong. Maybe there are episodes that lie in the world of contrivance or force to make it work. But isn't that kind of inevitable when the show had over 100 episodes? So now we get the roller coaster, where we get some more questionable bits. That bird, based off of where it hits in terms of the roller coaster, seems to be huge. I mean, the farther it is, it should look smaller, but it looks normal despite looking far away from the kids below. Is it just me? Also, there's this cool perspective that is probably a lot harder in 2D than it would have been in 3D. I've noted a lot, especially in my Milo's Murphy's Law review, that the way that the team plays with depth and perception is really cool, and it pushes the boundaries of what is a 2D cartoon. The roller coaster part is just alright. It's interesting to see how all of it comes together, but all in all, it's kind of underwhelming. You may have noticed that I take more of a retrospective stance in this review, talking about how this is and how it went from this to that or whatever, and I find that aspect a lot more interesting than talking about just the show by itself in a vacuum, because honestly, this episode is kind of bland when you look at other episodes and when you've seen what they're capable of. However, this is the first episode, this is the pilot, so it's okay. It actually laid out a lot of the points that we will be seeing later on in the series. We have a little fight between Perry and Doofenshmirtz, and the tinfoil that no one saw, by the way, rips off the building, and they barely escape through the magnetic. And they barely escape through the magnetic. That's gonna be a word, isn't it? I can't say. And they barely escape through the magnetic death trap that Hines set up. He isn't supposed to be taken seriously. I am well aware of that.
You know, if that thing crashes to Earth, Candace is in charge.
You know, Phineas wasn't around to hear that. The wiki states that in his defense, he could have overheard Candace and their mom talking, but considering that they were around the tree, and the tree is at the back of their backyard, I highly doubt that.
We should have charged more.
They also integrate a bit of live action, and the aesthetic of all of it really doesn't work in my opinion. It looks very jarring with the looping that is already going on in this episode. However, it all ends when Candace then thinks she has them now, but in reality, they land just in time, like they always do, and their mom is none the wiser.
So what should we do tomorrow? There's a world of possibilities. Maybe we should make a list.
The tree explodes, and that was Rollercoaster. Did Phineas and Ferb start off well? Out of all the other episodes I've talked about in this series, like Ninjago, OKKO, DuckTales, and really Milo Murphy's Law, considering I talked about the first episode of that, I would say this is more of a rocky start. It has a bit of looping, animation errors, and the story seemed to need a little more reworking. This is the definition of solid or decent. It doesn't wow me, and it clearly isn't the limit of where Phineas and Ferb could have went. I do take first, or one of the first episodes of a show, and look at it from a more forgiving perspective. This episode is important, and I will be referencing it if I come back to the show again. And it shows a lot of future episode references, like their Spa Day episode, or when they go to Mount Rushmore, or heck, in a future Milo's Murphy's Law episode titled Murphy's Lard, the roller coaster that destroyed Melissa's science project on the first day of summer was the same one from this episode. I would say that this episode is not bad, but it isn't amazing, but it is quite important and interesting to look at from a retrospective point of view. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments down below, follow me at the ALPHAJ Show, and go into my request video for any other episodes that you think I should cover. If you really like this video, I highly suggest taking a look at my entire Did This Start Off Well playlist for more videos of me talking about the first episode of a particular show. Make sure to subscribe and feel free to consider my Patreon. As always, I hope your time is well spent, and Alpha out.